Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the DoDcast Postgame Show. I'm your host, co-editor Ricky Keeler. Ron Juckett, not here today. I'm flying solo for this one. We'll be both together on Monday for a little opening day action, so it should be a lot of fun when the Nats take on the Marlins. Spring training exhibition games, the whole 9 yards, finally over. The Nats playing this afternoon at the U.S. Naval Academy in Annapolis, Maryland against the Boston Red Sox. And the game ends in a 4-4 tie, which I guess, again, I'm not a big tie person, but spring training doesn't really matter. We can get in my thoughts on ties and soccer another time, but that's how I'm not a huge fan of ties, but it's exhibition, doesn't matter. A lot of interesting things today. First off, we want to thank the Naval Academy, the midshipmen, the men and women who serve, and all the people who serve in our armed forces for the sacrifice they give. So I want to thank all those people out in the armed forces to start off with. Definitely was an interesting venue to have this game at. The field was different, but for the Nats to do this for the midshipmen, I mean, that's a gift giving back. And you saw Bryce Harper signing autographs for people, Jason Worth, Ryan Zimmerman. It was cool to see them take the tour of the facility today, have breakfast with the midshipmen. This whole atmosphere was so much fun to watch. And I want to get your thoughts on it as well. We'll talk about the final roster decisions as well. You can go into the chat on the YouTube page here. I'll gladly answer your questions. Also, you can tweet us at District on Deck or like us on Facebook, or tweet me at Rickinator555. You want to send your questions real quickly. Interesting game today. Max Scherzer was on the mound for the Nationals, and he did a pretty good job. 5 innings, 2 runs, 6 hits, 4 strikeouts, 1 walk. Red Sox had a couple of runs against him in the second on an RBI ground up by Jackie Bradley and an RBI single by Christian Vasquez. But in the end, you look at the Red Sox and that lineup they have. To give up only 2 runs in 5 innings, Scherzer threw 91 pitches, just shaking the rust off. His next start's going to be Thursday afternoon against the Miami Marlins. So all in all, Scherzer stays healthy and does a nice job. First inning today, Red Sox against Eduardo Rodriguez. They worked the count. They took advantage of Rodriguez's lack of control. Jason Worth had a bases-loaded walk to get the Nats on the board. And then Adam Eaton put a sacrifice fly to make it 2-0. But that was really the lone offense against Rodriguez today. But in the end, something the Nats didn't do a lot this spring was work the count and draw walks. And you get 3 straight walks here. They were last in spring training in on-base percentage. I think that's a little bit of a factor here. So they get a couple runs on the board, and you like to see that. The other thing to take away from today, you saw Bryce Harper with an RBI double in the 5th inning. That was a weird play because the ball goes over the right fielder's head, and Daniel Murphy and Trey Turner, who were on base at the time, Turner getting on an infield single, and Murphy also with a base hit. They got a hold because it's tough to tell if the guy's going to catch it in right field. So Murphy's still at second, but Turner still holds up at third, but as the craziness goes on at second, Trey Turner ends up scoring. That's the great speed that Trey Turner brings to the table. The other takeaway was Blake Treinen today. And I don't think you should be too alarmed by what Blake Treinen did. He ended up throwing 31 pitches, had a erratic control at times in his first crack as the closer now. Again, it's only an exhibition game. I don't take too much away from it. He would have got the game-ending double play had Brian Mejia not bobbled the ball at second base. So in the end, I think you take it both ways with Blake Treinen. In the end, he was able to keep the game tied. And I think that was the most important thing. That didn't let it shake his confidence, but you can't have that kind of game on Monday. You could also make the argument that if Daniel Murphy's in there instead of Mejia, the game ends in a different way. So the Nationals and Red Sox ultimately ended in a 4-4 tie. Next game, Monday afternoon, 1:05 Eastern on MASN. Edinson Volquez will take on Steven Strasburg. So that should be a fun game. Of course, we'll be here to tweet about it. Roster decisions being made in the next couple of days. We had some news on that today. Jorge Castillo of the Washington Post was talking about it, and it appears Wilmer Difo and Michael Taylor are both going to make the team, which was seen as an option. Difo, of course, I thought was more of a realistic option. I wrote about it today for District on Deck about how with Anthony Rendon's calf injury, maybe he has a better chance to make the roster than Taylor does. Rendon did take batting practice today. It sounds like he could be ready to go. Dusty Baker has also talked about how he could hold him out for opening day, take the off day on Tuesday, and go from there. So they have a couple of different options, but to go with the 6-man bench, I find really interesting. Ron Juckett, my fellow co-editor, saying that the roster decisions have to be finalized by 11:30 tomorrow. So a lot could happen between now and 11:30. But as of right now, it appears Wilmer Difo and Michael Taylor are going to make the team. Taylor kind of struggled toward the latter end of spring training, but was dealing with a personal issue as well at times. So you got to take that for what it's worth and hope that everything's going well with him right now. Jeremy Guthrie, it doesn't sound like he's going to make it because I think they're going to go without a long man. And to be honest, that might be the best decision because you have a lot of relievers that can do different things. You got to see what Andy Romero can do. Is he officially probably going to make the team? Actually, he tweeted that he'll make the team. You have Trinan, you have Glover, you have Kelly, you have Blanton. You have so many guys that can throw an inning or two. You have Albert Perez if you need to throw long innings if possible. You also could go to a couple innings. So now having that long man, I don't think would be a huge deal. You also have the option to send Joe Ross down. And Jorge Castillo of the Washington Post wrote this up, that if Ross comes back up within 20 days of being sent down, which in all likelihood he will, on April 9th when he makes that start, they don't lose the options on him. And I think according to Roster Resource, there's 2 options left on Ross. So sadly, he won't be there for opening day. You would like to see that. But in the end, he's still going to start the first few games of the season. It's not really a big deal. It's just how the way the rosters are constructed. So it looks like, again, Wilmer Difo is going to make it. And I think it's a great thing for him, working on that versatility. He can play some third base, can play some short, can play some second, learning to play some center field. So he'll be that super utility guy that you need. And Taylor, on the other hand, just has to help off the bench. And he's not a great pinch hitter, but we'll see how that ends up shaking out. They have that extra outfield help with Chris Heisey and company. So a lot can happen between now and 11:30 a.m. tomorrow, as Ron said, for the rosters to be finalized for Monday afternoon. So we have a lot to tell you about coming up over the next couple of days. Our staff is hard at work putting together some great articles. We have coming up in the next few days my rankings of the opening day lineups for the Nationals since 2005 by total WAR that season. So I think you'll find some great surprises in that article. Ron Juckett's writing about all the great new features at Nats Park, which I think is going to be exciting. We also have a preview for opening day. That'll go up on Monday. You'll also get the predictions from all of our staff. They each wrote a little bit of what they think the season will turn out to be. You heard Ron and I's predictions on the DoDcast Roundtable on Thursday. And again, we want to thank Andrew Lang from Talk Nats, and we want to thank Ryan Sullivan from Nats GM for joining us on that show. You can find it on our YouTube channel if you missed it previously. So again, we're going to be back here Monday afternoon, shortly after opening day. Ron and I are going to both take turns live tweeting opening day from the District on Deck account, and then we'll both be back here to talk about opening day. I think it's going to be interesting. You look at the matchup, Strasburg, undefeated on opening day in his career. This will be his 4th start against Edinson Volquez. Volquez had a rough second half last year, and you saw him pitch a little bit in the World Baseball Classic, so he's at least ready to go. The guy you want to watch here, I think 2 guys, and I'll talk about in the preview on Monday. Daniel Murphy, good numbers against Volquez, 8 for 18. We'll see if he shakes off the rust against a pitcher he's familiar with. And Adam Eaton, 5 for 9 last year against them when Volquez with the Royals and Eaton with the White Sox. So that could go either way. I think in the end, those 2 guys could play a factor in opening day's decide. And of course, Bryce Harper, he's known for hitting home runs on opening day. So it wouldn't surprise me if Harper has a flair for the dramatic. And this one, I think, will come down to the bullpens. So maybe Blake Trinan is back underneath the microscope again on Monday. So you can follow us on Twitter at District on Deck. Follow me on Twitter at Ricknator555. We're doing a lot more of these post-game shows throughout the year. Sometimes Ron and I, sometimes Ron, as you saw last week, sometimes myself. So we want to get you involved. If you have a question, a comment, anything you want to share, that would want to be on the show, feel free to send it into our chat room, which we have on every show. One of us will be monitoring that. If not me, then Ron will. You can like us on Facebook. We're doing up a Facebook page, making it look better. So you can go over to Facebook. We'll have cool stuff there. Follow me on Twitter at Rickinator555. It was interesting because both me and Ron got to watch it live today. We usually have the MLB.TV delay. I'm from New York. Ron is from Vermont, so he gets Nesson. I have Masson on my DirecTV package, but I don't have MLB Extra Innings. So a lot disclaimer out there right now. Most of what you watch this, if you follow us live tweets during the season, we're delayed. So you might hear from somebody else before you hear from us, but that's just the way it goes. You'll hear live stuff from me during Mets games and stuff because I'm from New York, so that's how it goes. So from all of us District on Deck, I'm co-editor Ricky Keeler. Hoping you have a great rest of your weekend. Enjoy the Final Four. Dave O'Brien wasn't there today for the call on the Red Sox game. He got to call a great loss by UConn last night, or Mississippi State. That was a fun game. So enjoy the men's Final Four. The Women's National Championship. Baseball starts back up again tomorrow, and we'll be back here on Monday after Nats Marlins to recap opening day. Until then, enjoy your weekend, everybody.